Most shooters compromise their safety by carrying tiny, painful pocket pistols they hate to practice with, or bulky duty guns that print through their shirts. For 20 years on the range, I have watched people buy micro, compacts that feel like holding live firecrackers under recoil, only to leave them locked in the safe. But the market has shifted. You no longer have to choose between painful snap and useless bulk. We are breaking down 7 game-changing pistols that solve this exact tension. I put thousands of rounds through these platforms to prove which ones actually deserve a spot on your belt. Let us look at the real-world performance of these modern defensive tools. For years, carrying a concealed handgun meant making a frustrating compromise. You either carried a tiny pocket pistol that felt like holding a live firecracker under recoil, or you lugged around a bulky duty gun that printed through your clothing. The Striker, fired Glock 43X MOS, solves this exact tension. It is the gun you grab when you refuse to compromise on a real fight but still want to wear a simple summer shirt. Built around a 3.41-inch marksman barrel, this 9mm pistol handles like a compact duty gun rather than a snappy subcompact. It has an overall length of 6.5 inches. It weighs just 18.7 ounces when unloaded, meaning it sits comfortably in an inside-the-waistband Kydex holster all day without pulling at your belt line. Out of the box, it feeds from a flush, Fit 10 round magazine, but the real magic is the factory-cut slide that lets you mount a micro red dot without paying a gunsmith to mill the steel. During my range testing, I put 2,500 rounds of Federal HST 124-grain hollow points and cheap Blazer brass target ammunition through this platform. The result was 0 malfunctions. But here is where the market gets interesting. While its direct competitor, the SIG Sauer P365 XL, offers 12 rounds out of the box for a similar street price of around $550, the Glock can be upgraded. By swapping the factory polymer magazine release for a steel one, you can run aftermarket Shield Arms 15-round magazines. This matches the capacity of a much larger Glock 19 while keeping a slim, easily concealed profile. With a street price hovering around $480 against a manufacturer-suggested retail price of $529, the Glock 43X MOS remains the benchmark. If you want a red dot-ready platform with unmatched aftermarket support that you can actually shoot well under stress, this is the gold standard. If you want that same class of concealability, but refuse to settle for the typical mushy trigger of a striker, fired gun, the next evolution in this space is the FN Reflex XL. Most micro compacts feel like holding a vibrating sander when you dump a magazine, forcing you to fight the gun just to keep your sights on target. The Reflex XL solves this by abandoning the striker altogether in favor of an internal hammer-fired single-action system. The difference at the range is immediate. Because it utilizes a single-action trigger, the break is clean and crisp, completely bypassing the long, gritty pull common to its competitors. In my hands, it feels like shooting a scaled-down target pistol rather than a compromised carry gun. I put 1,200 rounds of Speer Gold Dot 124-grain plus P and standard Federal target loads through this platform, experiencing 0 malfunctions. The physical footprint is optimized for control. It features a 3.8-inch cold hammer, forged barrel, and an overall length of 6.6 inches. It weighs 20 ounces when unloaded. While it is slightly heavier than the Glock 43X, that extra mass is exactly what keeps the muzzle from flipping wildly. FN ships this 9mm pistol with magazine options for 11, 15, and even 18 rounds. Slipping the 15-round magazine into the grip gives you a full 4-finger purchase, offering the control of a duty gun while remaining slim enough to disappear under a light shirt. Comparing this directly to the SIG Sauer P365 XL, the FN Reflex XL wins handily on trigger quality and recoil management. While the SIG has a broader ecosystem of aftermarket holsters, the Reflex XL gives you a far superior shooting experience right out of the box. With a manufacturer-suggested retail price of $599 and a street price hovering around $529, it is priced competitively. If you want a micro-compact that actually behaves like a mid-sized combat handgun at the range, this is the one to buy. If you thought those micro-compacts were the only way to get a comfortable carry gun, wait until you see how Walther re-engineered the compact-duty pistol. The reality of defensive shooting is that a gun is useless if you cannot run it effectively under stress. For years, shooters with smaller hands or less upper body strength have struggled with stiff recoil springs and blocky grips that force them to compromise their shooting stance just to reach the trigger. The Striker, fired Walther PDP F-Series, directly solves this tension. Instead of just shrinking a standard handgun, Walther redesigned the internal mechanics. By utilizing a patented 2-piece striker system, they reduced the force required to rack the slide by approximately 20%. During my range testing, this difference was immediately obvious. Administrative tasks like press checks and clearing simulated malfunctions became effortless, even after running high-stress drills. Additionally, the trigger reach was shortened to 2.56 inches, allowing for a clean, straight, back press without requiring the shooter to shift their master grip. I put 1,500 rounds of Winchester white box target ammunition and Hornady critical defense duty loads through this 9mm platform. The gun ran flawlessly, experiencing zero malfunctions. It feeds from a 15-round magazine and features the same class, leading ergonomics and optics, ready slide cut as the standard PDP line. It features a 3.5-inch barrel, an overall length of 6.5 inches, and weighs 23.3 ounces unloaded. But there is a catch most reviewers won't tell you. While its direct competitor, the Glock 19, has dominated the compact space for decades with a lower street price of around $500, the Glock feels like a brick in comparison. The Walther PDP F-Series commands a higher street price of $600 against a manufacturer's suggested retail price of $699, but the investment is entirely justified. You get a vastly superior trigger, a red dot ready slide, and ergonomics that actually work with your anatomy rather than against it. If you want a mid-sized carry gun that prioritizes shootability and ease of use over raw minimalism, the F-Series is the best option on the market today. For years, the biggest headache in the concealed carry market was the hidden tax of buying a budget-friendly pistol. You would buy a reasonably priced handgun, only to realize you needed to spend another $300 on an aftermarket trigger, custom slide milling, and new sights just to make it shootable. The Striker, fired Smith & Wesson M&P Shield Plus, completely eliminates this frustration. It is the working man's carry gun, designed for shooters who want duty, grade reliability out of the box without paying a premium. At the range, this 9mm pistol punches far above its weight class. Built with a 3.1-inch barrel, it has an overall length of 6.1 inches. It weighs just 19 ounces unloaded. What makes the Shield Plus stand out from older single-stack designs is its grip geometry and texture. The sandpaper-like grip texture keeps the gun locked into your palms, while the flat face trigger provides a crisp break and a distinct reset that makes rapid follow-up shots surprisingly easy for a subcompact. During my evaluation, I put 3,000 rounds through this platform, running a mix of cheap Blazer brass target ammo and premium Federal HST 124-grain defensive loads. While there were early reports from some owners about stiff springs causing feeding hiccups on fully loaded 13-round magazines, my testing yielded zero malfunctions after a quick 50-round break in period. Still, I always advise running at least 200 rounds of your preferred carry ammunition through any defensive tool before trusting your life to it. When you compare the Shield Plus to the Glock 43X, the value proposition becomes obvious. While the Glock requires aftermarket parts to achieve a 15-round capacity, the Shield Plus ships with a flush 10-round magazine and an extended 13-round magazine right in the box. Furthermore, the optics, Ready Shield Plus has a street price of around $420, compared to a manufacturer's suggested retail price of $499. It easily beats the Glock on trigger feel and price, and because it shares holster compatibility with older Shield models, finding high-quality Kydex gear is effortless. If you want a proven, comfortable daily driver that does not require a single upgrade to perform, this is your best option. For years, the budget tier of the concealed carry market was a minefield of gritty triggers, terrible sights, and questionable reliability. Shooters assumed that if they did not spend at least $500, they were buying a dangerous compromise. The Striker, fired Ruger Max 9, completely upends this assumption, acting as the ultimate budget sleeper that punches far above its price tag. At the range, this 9mm pistol proves that affordable does not have to mean cheap. Built with a 3.2-inch barrel, it has an overall length of 6 inches. It weighs just 18.4 ounces unloaded. What immediately stands out is the sight configuration. Unlike many competitors that ship with cheap plastic dots, the Ruger features a bright tritium fiber optic front sight, paired with a blacked-out drift adjustable rear sight. This setup makes sight acquisition incredibly fast, even in low, light conditions. During my personal evaluation, I put 1,800 rounds of Winchester active duty 115-grain target ammunition and Federal Punch 124-grain jacketed hollow points through the platform. I experienced 2 failure-to-feed malfunctions within the first 50 rounds, which I attribute to a stiff factory magazine spring. After that brief break in period, the gun ran the remaining 1,750 rounds with zero issues. When you compare the Ruger Max 9 to its closest budget competitor, the Taurus GX4, the Ruger wins on out-of-the-box features. While the Taurus has a slightly crisper trigger break, it often requires you to purchase a separate optics-ready model or upgrade the sights yourself. The Ruger Max 9 comes optics, ready from the factory, and ships with both a flush 10-round magazine and an extended 12-round magazine. With a manufacturer-suggested retail price of $439 and a street price that consistently hovers around $350, the value is undeniable. It fits comfortably in a standard inside-the-waistband Kydex holster, and its slim profile makes it easy to carry all day. If you want a highly concealable, optics-ready carry gun that leaves you with plenty of cash left over for training ammo, this is the smartest buy on the market. Before the industry exploded with micro-compacts, shooters were trapped in a frustrating cycle of choosing between capacity and shootability. The striker-fired SIG Sauer P365 XL changed the entire landscape by proving you do not have to compromise. It is the gun that pioneered the concept of a stretched micro-compact, offering a longer grip and slide that makes the weapon behave like a duty pistol while remaining incredibly easy to conceal. When you draw this 9mm pistol, the first thing you notice is how naturally it fills your hand compared to its smaller sibling, the standard P365. The extended grip frame allows for a secure, full hand purchase, which dramatically reduces muzzle flip during rapid strings of fire. With a 3.6-inch barrel and an overall length of 6.6 inches, it provides a longer sight radius that makes hitting targets at 25 yards feel like a routine task rather than a gamble. It weighs 20.7 ounces unloaded. In my time on the range, I have run over 3,000 rounds through this platform, feeding it everything from premium Federal HST 124-grain hollow points to cheap steel case target ammunition. The gun performed flawlessly, experiencing zero malfunctions. When you stack it against the Glock 43X MOS, the SIG makes a compelling case for itself right out of the box. While the Glock requires you to buy aftermarket metal magazines and swap your mag release to get 15 rounds, the SIG Sauer P365 XL ships with two 12-round steel magazines that work perfectly without modifications. Furthermore, the modular fire control unit means you can swap the entire frame for an aftermarket grip module in under a minute. With a manufacturer-suggested retail price of $649 and a street price that sits right around $579, it is a premium option, but one that saves you money on upgrades. If you want a modular, highly shootable carry gun that set the standard for the modern defensive pistol, this is the benchmark. But if you want that same class, leading capacity with a slightly more robust grip and a longer barrel right out of the box, the striker-fired Springfield Hellcat Pro OSP is the gun that finally perfects the crossover design. For years, the biggest complaint about micro-compacts was that they felt like holding an angry bumblebee. They were easy to carry but miserable to shoot, especially during long training sessions. The Hellcat Pro solves this exact tension by bridging the gap between a pocket gun and a duty-sized pistol. It gives you the shootability of a larger handgun without the bulk that makes you want to leave it in the safe. Built with a 3.7-inch barrel and an overall length of 6.6 inches, it weighs 21 ounces unloaded. When you wrap your hand around the grip, the adaptive grip texture feels secure without chewing up your skin or your cover garments. It feeds from a flush-fit 15-round magazine, giving you duty capacity in a frame that is only 1 inch wide. During my range testing, I put 3,200 rounds of Federal American Eagle target ammunition and Speer Gold Dot 124-grain jacketed hollow points through this platform. The gun ran flawlessly with zero malfunctions. The longer slide and barrel help tame the snappy recoil typical of smaller 9mm pistols, allowing for fast, flat tracking follow-up shots. When compared to the Glock 48 MOS, the Hellcat Pro OSP offers a clear advantage in capacity out of the box. While the Glock 48 requires aftermarket magazines to reach 15 rounds, the Springfield gives you 15 rounds of factory reliability immediately and even ships with a 17-round extended magazine. The OSP designation means it is optics ready, allowing you to direct mount micro red dots. With a manufacturer-suggested retail price of $649 and a street price hovering around $579, it represents a highly competitive package. It fits beautifully in a standard inside-the-waistband Kydex holster, making it a top-tier choice for daily carry. The landscape of defensive carry has fundamentally shifted. In 2026, carrying a blocky, heavy-duty pistol or a snappy, low-capacity pocket gun is simply a bad trade. The engineering has finally caught up to our needs. You can now carry 15 rounds in a platform that disappears under a light shirt and shoots like a full-sized combat handgun. If you are still clinging to your old setup out of habit, it is time to head to the range, rent a few of these modern options, and feel the difference. Stop compromising. Pick the tool that fits your hand, put in the training, and make the switch.